Hey everybody, James here again. I want to apologize about the last video on Desert Front. Um, my microphone was on, and when I played the video back and previewed it before it uploaded to YouTube, I could hear myself, but it didn't pick up my voice. After a couple Google searches, I found out that's because I had my volume turned on instead of putting it on silent mode. And YouTube's upload platform for iPhones doesn't have the capability of picking up two different sound overlays, so it picks the louder of the two, which was my phone volume. I do have the game's volume on, so you should hear the game. If not, it's just music and whooshing sounds of balls flying in the air and the occasional great shot cha-ching noise. So this 9 holes, we're going to go to Juniper Back to follow up the Juniper Front and complete the 18. Juniper Back plays a lot more with feel than with math. There is still math involved. For this hole, I position the tee kind of based off where the wind is. I like to move it over just a little bit so I can go up that line of the fairway without going over the part of the mountain the club won't clear. And normally you use a high loft driver, but because I have tailwind, it's going to be too long, and I'm going to have to use my 3-wood with the Maniacs instead. I do sometimes intentionally try to carom the mountain because it gets it about 15 or 20 extra yards of kick. I'm not going to do that for this video because it's kind of embarrassing when you miss the shot. It hits the mountain and falls back, and you have to play 2 shots to get around. Alright, we do have an opportunity to use a javelin here, and I always attack this green with a wood, normally my 9-wood or my 7-wood. We're going to do a little bit of math here. We have 17 yards that we need to take off, which is going to be 8.25%. And this green plays, it could play different. Sometimes it's 5 or 6% uphill. We're going to take 5% off and change that 8.25% to, we'll just call it 3% off. And we have 2 mile an hour kind of angled wind. We're going to drop down to and just say 5% off. So, more like we'll call it 4.5. And then for the right 5 and the wind, I'm gonna go right a little bit and then just back a hair for that wind. Somewhere around there, give the ball an opportunity to go through the hole. Like I said, we're gonna go about 4.5%. That's a little too far. Go about 4.5% off. And as you can see, like I said, this green, for some reason, I've played at 4% and come up short, played at 5% and been perfect, and then turned the next time and played at 5% and was long, and I've played 4% and it was a hair long. I don't know if there's a specific elevation factor, because the fairway that we're teeing off into is sloped uphill, so the further up that fairway, the less elevation factor there is. So I kind of play that as a guess. This hole right here, I kind of have a setup that I do for this hole. I find the club that's closest to the distance to the pin, and this is 271 with a 267 pin, so I got to take 4 yards off. That's 1.5%. And for the up 6, we're gonna take 4% off. I don't know why, it's just what I found always works for this green. So now we're down 5.5%, and that down 2.5 wind, since this is elevated downhill, is going to play full, like to full effect instead of with a club factor. So we were at, what was it, 5.5%? We're going to add 2.5 back to 3% off. And now we're just going to shift over just a little bit for that angle in the wind. And we're going to go to 3% off. It almost hopped in. I think actually for the downhill, it sometimes plays a little bit more than what the wind says. And again, I play that one more based off of feel. Sometimes when I'm really thinking about it, I'll double the wind or almost double the wind. I don't really have a formula for it. I just kind of do whatever comes naturally to me. Alright, with this hole here, I position the tee depending on where the pin is and the wind. And with a left wind and a front pin, I like to put the tee all the way over here. If it was a back left pin, I'd move it all the way to the right and try to open up that green for the attack. I'm going to go ahead and adjust for the wind now because there's no chance I'm using a wind cutter. Or at least get somewhat adjusted for the wind. And now I'm going to go to the 3-wood and see where I'm at. The 3-wood is going to carry roughly 286, 285-ish into this green. The 4-wood is going to carry roughly 271 into this green. And we do have a forward wind of, it's about a 6 forward. And with the 4-wood playing at a 0.6 club factor, we're going to gain 4%. I feel like the 4-wood should carry with a sticky, and if it does, it's going to be pretty close to the flag, so we're just going to use that. And again, I don't really have a rhyme or a reason. This is more of a feel thing for me. I'm not going to try to dial in the math. I'm just going to put it out there full because I know I want to get on the green. And normally by hole 12, I'm not chasing GSPs if somebody has them. If you are, you have plenty of holes to chase them down, and this is not a hole that you want to try to make up GSPs on unless you're playing against somebody that you know is going to score almost every opportunity you do. I might have taken the time to do a little bit of math to get closer to that flag, but with it being so far to the front, if you come up short or if you're a hair to the left and you get in that sand, you're not worrying about GSPs anymore. You're going to worry about trying to save a stroke, and it's just not worth it. Alright, on this hole, unless I have an extreme tailwind, I like to tee off to here, and even then, if I do have an extreme tailwind, it depends on where the flag is. A lot of people go safely into the flower bed. I don't. I like to flirt the edge of the water because I want to get every yard possible. Alright, now for this approach, I want to see two things. I see where the flag is. I'm going to go way over here. And I do this sometimes to see how much front space I have. I have enough space to attack this directly without having to use a sticky or something. So we're going to go with actually this is probably one of my most favorite approaches on Juniper Back. And that's the javelin approach from the flowers. Instead of using any other ball, if I can use a javelin here, I'm going to. I find a club that's a little bit longer than what I have, or what I need to go. I have 24 yards to go, which is pretty much exactly 10%, and that's good. Now, since I'm taking 10% off, the only thing I've remembered about this green is to always add 6% when you use a wind cutter, no matter what club you have. So I'm going to add 6% back, and I'm taking 4% off. Now I have my 6-wood, which has a 0.7 club factor with a 3-mile-an-hour wind, and that would make 2.1, but it is slightly angled, so we'll call it 2. And we're going to add 2 back to the 4 we're taking off and only take 2% off, so we know our power is at 98. Now, as far as the click count here, we have a left 2. The left 2 is going to move us 6 clicks to the right, and that angled 3 is about a 3-to-1 ratio. And when we get into ratios, the 3-to-1 ratio means that if I were to take that as the hypotenuse of the triangle, its square is going to be 9. So I need to find two numbers that multiply about 3-to-1, and when I square them and add them together, they're going to add up to 9. And the closest we're going to get is probably about 2.7 and 0.9. It might be a hair off from there, but that 0.9 is going to multiply by, with woods, when you're adjusting for the wind, you go 5 clicks per 1 mile per hour, regardless the club, except for the 9 wood for some reason. And that 0.9 times 5 clicks is 4.5. You can't go a half a click, so you can go 4 or 5. And like I said, we were going 2 clicks to the left, or 6 clicks to the opposite direction for the green slope. So we only really need to adjust 1 click over to give the ball a chance to go through. And we're going to go to 98%. And I was short, so I'm probably not going to make it to the pin, because it only came up 97. That pin position was actually really prime for GSPs. So if I was in a contest or a head-to-head match, I'd be pretty upset about missing GSPs there. Alright, for this hole, there's so many different ways to play it. I've just now gotten comfortable going at this with a wind cutter. It looks like it's uphill, but it actually does not play uphill at all. I did not know that when I first started playing it, but I do know that every time you approach this green, you don't want to go teeless. Some other players may approach this without a tee, and that's completely fine. I don't. I'm going to explore around with setups. I want to get about 220 yards. Okay, this is what I call an ideal setup. I have 12 yards that I need to take off, which is about 5.5%. It's like 5.45%. I have an up 3, which is going to be 0.27, and a down 3, or not 0.27, but 2.7. And a down 3, which is another 2.7. It's slightly angled, so it's going to play about, we'll call it about 2. That's 4.7, and we're taking off 5.45, so we need to take off 0.7%. I'm only going to adjust just a hair here. Now here, since we got to take off 0.7%, 1% off I feel like is going to be short, so I'm going to go to 1% off and pull it back just a little bit more. I didn't get it to register 100% like I wanted to. And that was off. And like I said, I don't attack that green with a javelin very often. It's actually something I didn't start even attempting to do until maybe a week or two ago. I almost primarily club up or club down, depending on the wind, and attack it with a grabber, an orbits, or a sniper. And snipers tend to be my go-to ball in that hole, just because of that annoying sand trap in the middle of the freaking green. Alright, unless I have the front left tee box, I always tee off down the right side here. If you go out, there is a hill on that fairway. We don't want to hit the left side of that hill because it'll send us into the sand, but we also don't want to hit the right side because it'll kick us further away from the green and extend our club length going into the green. So we want to find this sweet spot that's going to let us ride the top of that hill. And it's going to be it's going to be somewhere right about there. I might kick a little bit to the left, and that's okay. Yeah, that's fine. Alright, for here, as you can see, I have a downwind and an up green, so I already know the 8-iron is not going to work. And I have a little bit of landing space. I feel like it's enough for the 7 iron. Your landing space, in order to judge if there's enough to attack directly, it's really based off the club. You need, for the higher irons, you know, from the 7 going to the 6, the 5, and the 4, those higher irons, you're going to need more landing space because they have a lower trajectory, which means more roll. How much landing space you need, you just kind of got to play it by ear and figure that out. All right, we have 18 yards to go, which is exactly 12% of a 7 iron. And we have an up 4 and a down 3, which combine, they're working with each other, so it combines to make 7. With a 7 iron, that's going to make me have to add 5% to my shot. It's a little over 5, but we're going to add 5% back to the 12%. So I know I need to take 7% off and go 93%. So I have that covered now. Now, with the 7 iron, the irons don't play like woods, where it's always 5 clicks and 3 clicks. 5 clicks for 1 mile per hour wind, 3 clicks for green slope. The irons play a click count depending on the iron. And for the 7 iron, the green slope is a 5 click per one. So I need to go 20 clicks over, which is going to be roughly about there. I'm not going to count clicks when I have to count something like 20. And then I'm going to go a little bit back to the left, probably somewhere around there for the wind. Like I said, we're taking 12% off and then adding 5 back to 7% off. And I didn't get GSPs. I did get to 6 feet. So, like I said, I didn't count clicks to get exactly to the pin. I went guessing, and that's fine. I mean, I'd have loved to get GSPs there, and normally I do, but they can't all be winners. Alright, with this hole, I play this hole probably different than most people in the game. It's one of the only times I like to tee off with the Maniacs, just because the torpedo rolls up the hill too much, and I have torpedoed into that wonderful sand trap right there. What I like to do for the approach is I like to aim at the flag. I go up to whatever wood is going to get me to the flag, and then move up to the very next wood. And I start from there, and sometimes depending on the wind, I have to club up 1 or 2 times, even from here. Now, I have a secret to this hole that I've told a few people. When you're attacking this with a sniper, and that's that every wood is going to play 7% off for the carry. So I'm going to take 7% off, which is 19 yards. And that's going to put me at 249 carry. And a 249 carry with 247 to the pin means I need to lose 2 yards, but I do have a downwind, so I already know the 5 wood is not going to be long enough. It would be safely on the green if we zoom in. There's plenty of green below it, but we haven't got any GSPs yet, so we're going to go ahead and play a little bit dangerous and move up to the 4 wood. 7% off of that is going to be 14, and then add 5 is 19. It's going to be about 19 and a half yards, and that half yard really does matter. So we're at 257 and a half, and we have 10 and a half yards we need to take off to get to the pin, which is going to be a little less than 4%. That angled 11 wind, I don't really have an exact angle for it, but we're going to, just for sake of argument, call that we're going to call that about 6 or 7%. Yeah, about 6 or 7%, which is going to give us a club factor close to 4, and we need to take 4.5% off. So we just need to take 0.5% off with a sticky. Let me see, 121 minus 36 is 85. That's 9. That would be a 3 to 2 ratio. We're going to take 1% off. It's not quite a 3 to 2 ratio. Alright, now for the 11 right, let's say it's playing somewhere close to 9 right. We're going to go right about there. Somewhere around right there. We're going to take 1% off. Like I said, I didn't really take the time to calculate the wind exactly. Just kind of looked at it and guessed. So even the 4-wood hole would have been short. I don't think I would have even attempted to try a 3-wood there. Alright. This is a super, super fun hole. The 4-iron is going to carry 180 yards. We need to lose 6 yards to get to 174, so we got to take 3% off. And that 13 is angled down some, but I feel like it's angled down more than 2%, or more than a 2.5. I'm going to apply a bronze tee, which would mean I would need to take off 5 yards now after the carry. Let's see, 182 is 8. It's 4% off. And again, with feel, I feel like the bronze tee is still going to end up short, but I'm gonna go ahead and use it because I don't want to apply the silver tee and try to do any math. I'm being a little lazy today, and I'm extremely sorry for that. But my feel for the 13 is going to be somewhere around right there. Okay, so the bronze tee was long. And like I said, with those weird angled like 13s and 14s and 12s, they're actually much easier to calculate when they're directly in your face. When they're sideways at an angle, you really are guessing at it, and then you err on the side of caution depending on the pin location. But since I had plenty of room in front of the pin and behind the pin, I had a lot of room for error, and most of what I needed to be accurate on was my accuracy. Alright, for this hole here, I don't like to have a lot of forward or back wind because it's much easier to play this hole without calculating for the wind. So we're going to go ahead and kind of set up to the left. And I do have the wind slightly in my face. I've seen people play at this hole with a javelin. I have played, I don't know, 25, 30,000 holes. This has been one of those holes numerous times, and I have never once attempted to javelin this green, and I don't think I ever will. And that's just because, in my mind, with that down 7, I feel like it's going to hit the green and just roll off the back. And it's not worth it to me. I like to fight against the slope of the green. So down greens, I like to use either a sticky, a backspin ball, or an orbits, depending on pin location. And upslope greens, I like to attack directly if possible. There are a few upslope greens I attack with an orbits and ride the hill. One of those is in Teal Gardens. I'm pretty sure most people know which hole I'm talking about. And I've played that hole when the pin's at the front towards the bunker. I play that with an orbits pretty much every time. Alright, so when I apply a grabber here, it takes away a little bit of that down 7. I need to lose 26 yards, which is roughly 9%. This green's going to play up 5. So I need to lose 4%, and I do have a down slope on the 15 and an extra but also an extra 2 down from the green slope of the down 7, and only 5 of that's being taken out for the grabber. So I feel like I'm pretty close with a full shot here. As far as the 15 right and 4 left, a 15 right with a 3 wood to an elevated green is going to be somewhere around right here, and then I'm going to go back to about a 12 right with a 3 wood, which is somewhere around here, and we're just going to hit this full power. It leaves us a pretty straight putt. Could have got a little bit left, and apparently the right move there, if I was using a grabber, was to go up to the high loft driver and go somewhere around the 96-97% range. But that's pin's pretty close to the back edge, so playing safe is the way to go. We didn't get any GSPs that round, and that happens. But we did shoot perfect to par, and ultimately, in your head-to-head contest match, a perfect to par is going to be much better than attempting GSPs and losing a stroke and shooting 13 under with a lot of GSPs. I know that firsthand. I lose quite often in expert gold with massive GSPs to somebody that has 1 stroke or 2 strokes better than me. So thanks for tuning in. I'm sorry it wasn't as informative as Juniper Front. I don't play Juniper Front and Juniper Back the same way. I play each 9 differently, and it also depends on some of the pin locations. We didn't get very many good pin locations or setups where the wind was conducive of being able to break down the math. That was more of the feel end of the spectrum for Juniper Back, which is why I said in advance that Juniper Back was going to play with a lot more feel. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Send me messages, comment what you would like me to do next, any questions that you might have. Also, maybe tell me which courses or something in particular that you would like for me to go over in future videos, and don't forget to hit the like button and tell your friends to subscribe.